think the really interesting aspect about looking at Canada and the global economy now is that there's a lot of argument to be had, which suggests that we're at the beginning of a fairly interesting shift in the architecture of the global political economy, and this is for two main reasons why. One is the way that the crisis has impacted on industrialized nations and generated a huge degree of pressure on the part of governments to do things differently. And on the other hand, it's really about the other axis of change, which is the way that the emerging market economies have a growing stake and significance and weight in the global economy, and what kinds of leverage this has on international rules and the kinds of global organizations like the G20 and other aspects of the global governance. And so in my chapter, I try to chart this, and I begin by pointing out that the world is today less globalized and less liberalized than it was even 6 or 7 years ago. So between the generation of a much larger regulatory footprint on the part of states and industrialized countries, which have constricted what financial institutions can do and how they do it, and with the growing, if you will, weight of emerging market economies in the global economy, the restrictions on foreign competition that they're putting in, the very clear and strong straitjacket they have put around their financial institutions, we're actually, I think, moving into a world in which there's less globalization and, in fact, less liberalization around most of the world, with one or two exceptions. And this presents to Canada kind of a very interesting set of choices about how to involve itself in the global economy. Does it push the multilateral front, or does it look around the world and say, okay, the world is becoming increasingly fragmented. It's not going to go the same route as in the Great Depression, but it's definitely becoming increasingly fragmented. It's becoming less globalized. With whom do we put our economic eggs? In whose basket do we put our economic eggs? Do we continue to focus primarily on the United States? Do we reach out to emerging market economies? If so, which ones? Which kinds of multilateral or partial multilateral institutions do we become involved in? And I think those are new choices for Canada to make. We have over the last 40 years been particularly oriented towards multilateral institutions. And I think we've not, as a country, yet begun to think seriously enough about these choices, and especially about the consequences that will follow from whichever choices Canada, either publicly through its government or privately through its institutions, makes.